I mentioned this before. I mean, the case in the UK, it did not go Johnny's way. He lost it. It was against the paper that he said defamed him when they wrote that he was a, quote, wife beater. He did not like that term. And the whole case was about that. Am I or am I not a wife beater? You said it, and that's defamation. And he didn't win. But this is a different case. It is a different country. It is the same toxic couple. So what are their odds? What are his odds? What are her odds? Cue the lawyers. Jim Murray is an attorney, but he's also the chief correspondent for Inside Edition. And Sarah Azari is a criminal defense attorney in Los Angeles. And Trent Copeland is a trial lawyer with the law firm Brown, George, and Ross. And I couldn't have a better panel. Jim, you know, this feels like a rehash a little bit of the case in the UK, but there's no cameras in the courtroom there. And I've always said the reason we have open trials is so that you can set your eyes on the person who's testifying and you can feel it. You can see through the body language. You can see through their eyes. You can see so much more when you can see them. And you can determine just how honest they're being. How different do you think this is going to be for Johnny Depp going forward, trying to win the case, trying to, I don't know, get his brand back?
Of Amber Heard while Johnny Depp is testifying. And I'm with you. I think this was a poor choice for Johnny Depp. This really goes to this 2018 op-ed and whether or not it damaged his brand. I would suggest that his brand was damaged in 2016 when Amber Heard got a restraining order and made those claims that he was abusing her. I don't know how much damage was done in 2018, and I don't think anybody would have even be talking about that right now had he not brought this case. He's got to prove damages. I think it's very likely that the jurors may think this is a mutually dysfunctional, mutually violent relationship, and maybe that hurts him just as much because all of this dirty laundry is being aired all over again.
Yeah, and it is dirty. I mean, what we just played is nothing compared to what's coming. So, Sarah, you know, let's just boil it down for the folks who weren't in the courtroom to understand the legal question here, because it's actually quite simple. No matter how much razzle-dazzle, ugliness we're going to hear, they have to prove three things. The Depp team has to prove three things. First, was the op-ed published? And that's a big check mark. So they don't have to prove that. We know that. Second, that it was an actionable statement, which is that she knew it to be false when she went ahead and wrote it. And third, that there was intent, that she wanted to actually hurt his career. I see those second two as pretty darn tricky. You've really got to get inside her head. Is that going to be possible?
Well, I think it also depends on her testimony, right? To see how on cross-examination, Depp's lawyers can bring out evidence of actual malice. And then, you know, also Depp is not done testifying. But you're right, actual malice is necessary. And I disagree with Jim because I believe that number one, on the issue of damages, he's going to have to prove that there's a direct nexus between the gigs that he lost and this op-ed, that they weren't related to substance abuse or something else, and the 2016 allegations when they initially came out. But this is Depp's chance to take the stink off his name. Even if he doesn't prevail, I think this is his day in court. He was credible, he was composed, he was collected and calm, and I think that, you know, his testimony was, you know, pretty moving. And even the stuff that he said about his father and how his father treated his abusive mother, it was almost like he was describing himself in the marriage to Heard. So again, you know, the outcome of this trial almost doesn't matter because it's his chance to clear his name. Of course, if he wins, then he collects the damages and that's a bigger win for him. But I think this is ultimately about his testimony and what we heard. We hadn't heard this before from him.
It's so interesting to hear you say that because it makes perfect sense. What you are saying truly does make sense. That's the justice system. I'm going to go to fight for my good name. And that's what he was doing in the UK. And he lost not just the case, he lost so much more. So I am curious, Trent, weigh in on the theatrics. No matter how you cut a courtroom, it's a show, right? A trial is a show, baby. I wish we could ask Johnny Cochran that, right? He knew best out of everybody that a trial is a show. And there are 12 people in the audience who matter the most, right? So in that respect, up went Johnny Depp to splay out this whole sad story of his life. And I'm going to repeat, the case is about defamation. It's not about what his background and his life was. So talk to me about the show that was today. Sarah said he did a great job. I'm sure the jurors loved watching him. But what does that really matter in the end?
Well, I think it matters in the end because, like with anything, Ashleigh, whether you're a defendant, whether you're a plaintiff, in this instance, Johnny Depp is a plaintiff, you want the jury to side with you. And the only way you get that jury to side with you is for that jury to relate to you. And so for the jury to relate to him, he wants to open himself up. He was vulnerable. He was open. He was, literally he gave a part of himself that people hadn't really seen or heard about Johnny Depp before. And I think that vulnerability, that openness, that ability to let the jury into his life, into his head, to some extent into his heart, is really something that may resonate with this jury. So I think, look, to the extent that this is a trial, and I think you're absolutely right, all trials to some extent are shows. This is part of the show. And part of the show is opening up, letting that jury find you, feel you, understand who you are as a person. And once Johnny Depp does that, that jury is much more likely to believe the rest of his story because they've now opened up to him. So I'm not surprised, and I agree with Sarah. I think that this is a win for Johnny Depp because, look, if we judge these things by social media, his social media accounts have all increased by hundreds of thousands of followers just over the course of the last 5 days once this trial has started. And you'd be hard-pressed to find many people, if you follow social media, who've been following this trial, even the coverage, who found that Johnny Depp has not been a sympathetic figure in this case. So to the extent that he's hoping to rehabilitate his image, I think he's doing that. And remember this, Ashleigh, because you were there, and I was there, and so was Jim. At this time, Michael Jackson, right before his molestation trial back in the early 2000s, his stock could not have been lower given the child molestation claims against him. But as he went through that trial, and even during the course of the trial, his popularity, his strength in numbers in terms of how people felt about him began to increase, and of course we know he was acquitted. So the same thing could happen here, if not.
I'm Trent. Trent, I was there too. I'm old, but thank you.
No, you're not that old, Sarah. You are not, and I know you.
Thank you. I was there.
Listen, I agree with both of. I agree with Sarah and Trent. I think this is Johnny Depp's time to set the record straight. I think he was a very compelling witness. I just wonder if he's risking more than he's possibly gaining, because they're still airing some horrible things. And don't forget, we're only hearing half of the story, because when she takes the stand, she may be credible too. The jury may think they're both crazy. They may, it's really it's gamble. It's a big gamble.
Well, listen, the jury in the UK believed Amber. I mean, there were things they didn't believe, but for the most part, they believed that it was fair enough for the newspaper to call him a wife beater. He did not prevail. And all during that, the headlines were just filth and sleaze and disgusting things that were misogynistic and hateful and hurtful, not to mention all the awfulness that went on between these two that nobody would ever want to even spend an evening with them, because they were both so deplorable to one another. But in the end, let me play this just to button this up so that the viewers get a really good sense of really what it was like when he got on the stand and talked about a moment with Amber. And you heard Caitlin talk about it before, about the moment about taking his boots off. Have a listen.
When I would come home from work, I would come in the house or the hotel, and she would sit me down on the couch and give me a glass of wine and take my boots off, set them to the side, and I'd never experienced anything like that in my life. I just never thought I just never experienced that before. And it became a regular thing that she did, this kind of routine. And I remember one night I came home from work, and I think she was on the phone or something, or busy. She was doing something, and so I sat down on the couch and I took my boots off, and suddenly Miss Heard approached with this look on her face and she just said, "What did you just do?" What did you do? I said, what do you mean? You took your boots off. I said, yeah, yes, I did. You were busy, you know. No, that's my job. That's what I do. You don't do that. I do that.
He called her Ms. Heard, not Amber. Hey, I want the three of you to come back when we start to really get into the meat and potatoes of this, because this is just the appetizer. It's not even a soup song. I mean, honestly, the stuff that's about to come is... Jim knows. Jim had to cover that whole first trial. Jim Murray, Sarah Azari, and Trent Copeland, thank you to all three of you. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.